Chapter 8. A Star Shines. After I got dressed, I went downstairs and asked the man working on the grounds where the closest grocery store was. He spoke broken English mixed with Spanish words, but I remembered enough from my high school Spanish class to communicate with him. The supermarket was a little more than 3 long blocks away. When I got there and saw all the delicious produce, I wanted to fill my cart, but thinking of that long walk home kept me from going wild. I was already hot and sticky from the weather, and there was just a little puffs of the clouds towards the horizon. A nice day for a stroll, but not for lugging groceries around. A handsome young man with dark brown hair was just turning in his apron in the next counter. As I walked from the store, struggling not to spill anything out of my 2 bags, and I hoped the bottoms wouldn't burst, I heard someone behind me say, "You look like you could use a 3rd arm." I turned to see the handsome man from the store. In the sunlight, his hair held hints of copper. His laughing eyes were hazel, and he had long eyelashes. Although he wasn't what I would call muscular, he was well proportioned, sinewy, sleek. His face was very masculine, especially around the mouth. "I could carry one of those for you," he offered. "I won't steal your food," he added with a soft smile when I hesitated. "How do you know where I'm going?" I asked. "The Egyptian Gardens, right? I saw you there yesterday. I was at the pool when you went by." "I live there too," he said. "I'm walking that way anyway," he added. "Going home." He shrugged when I didn't reply. "Lights changing." "What?" "We can cross now," he said, indicating the traffic had stopped. "Oh." He reached out and took one of my bags. "Better hurry up," he said. "This is one of the shortest lights in LA." He grabbed my elbow and directed me across the street. We walked quickly and didn't speak until we were on the sidewalk. "I don't blame you for hesitating to accept my offer. I don't trust my groceries with strangers either," he said, with a silly little impish grin again. "Strange women are always approaching me, offering to carry one of my bags. Very funny. My name's Mel Jensen." "Melanie Simone," I said. "There, now we're no longer strangers," he quipped. "I can carry your groceries all the time. Just because we exchange names doesn't mean we're still not strangers," I replied, and he turned very serious. "You're right. Besides, around here you're never sure the person's giving you his or her real name anyway," he said with the tiny corners of his mouth up. I felt myself turn crimson. He was looking straight ahead, so he didn't notice. "But that's my real name, and I intend to make it a household word," he bragged, now turning to see my reaction. "What are you selling?" I asked, and he laughed, the light in his eyes getting even brighter. He paused when he saw I wasn't kidding. "You're serious? You think I'm a salesman?" "Well, you said household, so I thought..." "What are you doing in LA?" he asked, suddenly very curious and suspicious. I looked away before replying. "I'm visiting my sister," I said. "Sister? Simone?" he thought out loud. "Oh, you're Gina Simone's sister." "Yes," I said. I never thought of myself as a good liar, and I had doubts that I'd be able to fool people the way Mommy and Richard wanted. I was positive people would see right through me, hear my hesitation in the words, and know immediately I wasn't telling the truth. But if Mel Jensen saw any of my doubt, he ignored it. "Of course," he said, nodding. "You two do look a lot alike. I suppose you want to be an actress and a model too." "Not really, but my sister's agent thinks I can be. He says he's going to try to get me a job while I'm here," I replied. "Stranger things have happened. The doorman at the Four Seasons got offered a small part in a television pilot. The pilot was picked up, and he got a recurring role in it. Now he's an actor who drives up to the Four Seasons in his own Mercedes and has his doors open for him." "Are you an actor too?" "No, I'm a dancer. Jazz, interpretive, that sort of thing. However, if they made musicals the way they did when Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire were alive, I'd be in the movies," he claimed. "Anyway, this job Packing groceries and stocking the shelves is just something to keep a roof over my head while I fight the good fight. I share an apartment with 2 other guys who happen to be actors. Aren't you and your sister from the Midwest someplace? Yes, I said quickly, hoping he wouldn't press me for details. I didn't know all the lies Mommy and Richard had spread about themselves. I'm from Portland. We turned to the Egyptian gardens and I stopped to take my second bag of groceries. That's all right, he said. I'll go up to your sister's place with you. I'm not in any rush. I'm not waiting for anything. I have an audition tomorrow morning, and then I'll be hovering around the phone. He laughed, and we walked down the pathway to Mommy's building. You should see the 3 of us when we're all gone for something and the phone rings. It's a mad dash. Lately, all 3 of us have been disappointed, but my luck's changing. I can feel it. I hope so, I said. Thanks. See, we can't be strangers any longer. You're already wishing me luck. He stepped into the elevator with me and carried my bag of groceries to the door at Mommy's apartment. Thank you, I said, when he put the bag into my arms. Just an added service we provide at the Bay Market, he replied with a soft, beguiling smile on his lips. What are you going to do the rest of your day? I'm cleaning, I said. It's so hot today. I have to do it, I said. When you take a break, come down to the pool and I'll introduce you to some of the other tenants. I'd like that, I said hesitantly. See you later then, he replied and started for the elevator. I don't know why I said I might go to the pool, I thought. I don't even have a bathing suit. I put away the groceries and began to clean the apartment. From the gobs of dust and cobwebs I found, I realized neither Mommy nor Richard had ever done cleaning since they moved in this place. The pail of water turned black from my dripping mop after 2 or 3 swipes on the kitchen floor. The windows were so crusted with grime, they made the outside world look gray, even on a beautiful day. The bathroom was even dirtier. Stubborn mildew had formed on every crack and space, and when I moved the small rug near the tub, I jumped back a foot because the size of the bugs that had come crawling out. Finally, I turned my attention to the bedrooms, the little balls of dust under the beds like tumbleweeds. There wasn't any vacuum cleaner either, so I had to sweep under the beds and wash by hand the places the mop wouldn't reach. I didn't know whether Mommy would want me to go into her and Richard's dressers, but I saw she wasn't folding her clothes any better than she used to fold them back in Sewell. I did most of the washing and ironing back then, too. Clothes were draped over chairs, and there were pairs of jeans and a blouse crumpled on the floor. While organizing one of her dresser drawers, I found a light pink two-piece bathing suit, and I thought about Mel Jensen's invitation. It was still very sunny and warm outside, and I was due for a break. When I tried on the bathing suit, however, I realized it was very revealing. I was going to take it off and look for another, more modest suit, but all I found was another bikini, this one even skimpier. I stood up and gazed at myself in the mirror again. The suit fit well. I was a little bigger in the bosom than Mommy, so the top was snug. My hips were more narrow, but the suit was like new and not stretched. I turned around, gazing at myself from different angles, not unhappy with what I saw. I didn't approve of girls who flaunted themselves, but I didn't see why I should be ashamed of having a nice figure. I could use a little tan, I thought, and I conjured up Mel Jensen's soft, handsome, inviting smile. Did I have the nerve to go down to the pool in this suit? Just the thought of it was titillating. While I considered it, the phone rang. It was Carrie. I tried calling earlier, he said, but when the answering machine came on, I decided not to leave a message. You wouldn't know when to call me anyway. I'm in and out so much. I went shopping for groceries. Shopping for groceries? Where are you? What did you tell Ma? She can't remember anything these days. What's happening? He fired questions at me without taking a breath. I told him about my confrontation with Mommy and summarized her story quickly. So, they sent a strange woman's body to Providence Town. I can't believe it. That's against the law, isn't it? He asked. I suppose so, I said. What about the woman who's in the grave? Isn't anyone looking for her? I don't know all the details, but there's a lot of people who have left their families behind forever. Besides, I think it was mostly Richard Marlin's doing, I added. Mommy seems to be under his control, but I'm going to get her out of here, I said. I'm going to try to save her from Richard's evil grip. Maybe she doesn't want to be saved, Melanie, Carrie said. I've got to try. Why? She doesn't care about you. Look at what she did. If your friend back in West Virginia hadn't found that picture in the catalog, do you think your mother would have ever called again, he argued. She was just like that. Those other people you mentioned, people who forgot their families. I knew he just wanted me to go home with him, although what he was saying was not untrue. That's just it, Carrie. I did see the picture, and I did find her, and I know she needs me. One day she's going to find herself all alone here. Once Richard decides he can't get anything more out of her, he'll leave her stranded. She should have thought of that herself. You don't belong there, he insisted. They're criminals, sending a stranger's body to be buried as if it was your mother's. Grandma Olivia's going to be furious. Maybe you shouldn't tell her anything just yet. What do I do when she asks? Lie? Is that what you want? Is that what you're learning to do in LA? No. Your mother's a good teacher, he muttered. We both know that. Look, Carrie, no matter what she's done, she's still my mother. You'd feel the same way. No, I wouldn't, he said quickly, and I could hear the sadness in his voice. How's your father doing, I asked. There's been no change. He's still in the cardiac care, the hospital. It's raining here this morning, a small storm, so we didn't go out to the boat. I'm depending on the cranberry crop will get us through the year anyway, he added. There's going to be a lot of work to do soon. Maybe I can come back to help, I suggested. And then what, return to LA? I just don't know, Carrie. You probably like it out there in Hollywood, he spat. It's a lot more glamorous than living in an old house harvesting cranberries. I don't blame you, he said. I wish I could run away from my responsibilities, too. I'm not running away from my responsibilities, Carrie Logan. I'm running toward them. I'm trying to help my mother, I said firmly, determined to make him understand. Right. Well, you know where I'll be. Give me a call sometime if you have time. Not disguising his frustration and anger. Oh, Carrie, you know I'll call. I gotta go back to the hospital, he said. I left Ma up there with May. Bye. Carrie. The phone went dead. I held the receiver in my hand. Carrie didn't do well with sadness and hardship. He turned inside himself and bitterly closed up like a clam. It was the way I had found him when I had been left there to live at Uncle Jacob and Aunt Sarah's. It took a while to get him to say 2 friendly words to me. I felt horrible not being at his side when he needed me so much. But when I gazed around this small apartment and thought about Mommy under Richard's control, I knew I had to stay. I had to try. It was times like this I wish there were 2 of me. I would send my other self back to Providence Town. I should have been the one to have a twin, not Carrie, I thought. A rich peal of laughter came flowing up from under the patio. I went out and listened. 2 young women were walking down the path toward the pool. They were both in bikinis, even skimpier than the one I was wearing. I do need a break, I thought. Just a small intermission from these troublesome thoughts. Just a little while. I'll pretend to be one of them. My only fear was that whatever madness drove them would be contagious, and what Carrie suggested would come true. I'd find that it's easier to run away into my dreams and fantasies and, like everyone else here, not worry if they had any reasonable relationship to the truth. Despite that fear, I reached for what I thought would be a beach towel at the bottom of the closet and a pair of sandals. I scooped up Mommy's coffee-stained and cigarette-burned terry cloth robe and slipped it over myself, and then headed to the pool, telling myself I was just there for a little while. No harm done, right? This is Melanie Simone, Mel Jensen told the stout, light brown-haired man in the lounge beside him. Melanie, meet Bobby D, Mel said. Greetings, Bobby D muttered. He held out his sun reflector under his chin and gazed at me quickly. Bobby's the drummer for the Gross Meouts, a rock band who cut their first single last week. Oh, congratulations, I said. Bobby D grunted. Mel put up a lounge chair so I could be beside him. Across the pool, Sandy and two of her friends were sunning themselves, surrounded by two other young men. Everyone looked at me when I took off Mommy's robe and laid it neatly on the lounge. Mel's smile widened. You better put some suntan lotion on, he suggested. You're a bit pale in places that obviously have not had sun in a while. He handed me the bottle of his lotion. Thank you, and I rubbed the lotion over my legs and arms. I can get your back for you, he volunteered. Watch out, that's how he starts, Bobby D mumbled. First it's the back, then it's the arms, and then... Never mind, big mouth, Mel said. He took the lotion and stood beside me. His hands felt warm on my skin, but the lotion was cold, and I jumped. He's the guy with the magic touch. Bobby lowered his reflector and really looked at me. You don't sting, do you? We're looking for a new lead singer. I sing when I play the fiddle, I said, but I'm not good enough to be in anyone's band. Fiddle? You mean hoedown music? I guess so, I said. Mel rubbed his lotion on my arms and then spent some time on my shoulders and neck. Thank you, I told him. I had the feeling that if I didn't speak up, he'd keep it on all afternoon. No problem. Hell's a Poppin' has a fiddle player in their band, Bobby said, and they got a gig in the valley at the Market Square off in Ventura. Ever hear of them? She just got here, Bobby. She doesn't even know what you mean by the valley, Mel said. Oh, yeah. He studied me a moment and then went back to his sun reflector. Sandy and one of her girlfriends dove into the pool and swam over to us. The young men jumped in after them. Hi again, Sandy called and raised herself to look at me. Hi. You met Mel, I see, she said. At my office, he told her. Watch out, he bites, she warned, laughing as she pushed herself away. Why is everyone warning me about you, I asked. Jealousy, he said. Beware the green-eyed monster. It possesses everyone around here eventually. Bobby grunted. Look who's talking, he said. Mel spun on him. What? You're not jealous of Tommy, that loafers, Mel asked him. It was just luck that they got that contract instead of us, Bobby replied. You're still jealous, Mel said. See? He told me. I smiled and lay back and closed my eyes. Someone turned on the radio and the music drifted our way. The sunlight was warm. There was laughter around me and it was easy to forget problems. I could get used to this, I thought shamefully. Are you going back to Sandy's party tonight, Mel asked. I think so, I said. Good. I opened one eye and glanced at him. He was on the side, turned towards me. Why don't you bring your fiddle to Sandy's tonight, he suggested. I didn't bring it to California, I said. You didn't? Why not? I didn't think anyone would want to hear a fiddle player, I said. Doesn't Jerry have a fiddle? Mel asked Bobby. Yeah, we'll dig it out for you. I'll bring it tonight. No, I'd rather not. I'm really not that good, I said. If there's is one place in the world modesty doesn't work, it's L.A., Mel said. Here, you're considered weird if you don't blow your own horn. Then I'll be considered weird, I said firmly. Because I don't. Bobby laughed. She plays the fiddle, stupid, he said, not the horn. I bet you're good, Mel insisted. I didn't reply. Come on, he said, poking me. Let's get wet. He got up and dove into the water, a smooth, graceful dive that barely made a splash. Come on in, he said, when he surfaced. It's great. I looked at Bobby, who shrugged and said, I took one bath already this week. Mel treaded the water, and Sandy and her other girlfriends began to splash him. He splashed back. It looked like they were having fun, so I got to the edge of the pool. Mel swam over and seized my ankles. Come on, you won't drown. It's only 5 feet deep. He tugged, and I went forward, falling into his arms into the pool. The girls came to my rescue, splashing him so much that he had to dive under. I joined in, but when they turned to see, their eyes widened with shock. I paused, curious. What's wrong? I asked. Sandy swam forward. Your suit, she said, and I looked down, and the top of my mother's bikini was in the water. It had become transparent. In the water, the suit became transparent. I was as good as naked. Oh no, I wailed, wrapping my arms around my breasts. Just wait a minute, Sandy said, and climbed out of the pool. She got my towel off the lounge and returned. I got out, and she wrapped the towel around me. Everyone was looking at us. Some of the men who arrived were shaking their heads gleefully. Even Bobby Doe was laughing at me. Embarrassed to the bone. My face, even my body turned so red, I looked like I had gotten a bad sunburn. Thanks, I told Sandy. It's one of my sister's suits. I didn't know it would do this, I explained. I looked at the others and then grabbed the apartment keys off the table and fled. When I got into the apartment, I looked at myself in the mirror. This suit was obviously not meant for bathing, I thought. I got out of it quickly, dried off, and put on my clothes. I was drying my hair and I heard the buzzer. It was Mel bringing up the rest of my things. Now that was a dramatic exit, he said when I opened the door. You're definitely an actress. You made a big first impression. Thanks a lot. I'd rather not have been noticed. I didn't realize the suit wasn't meant for swimming. I borrowed it from my sister's dresser drawer. No explanations necessary. I kind of liked it, he said, leaning in close to me. I wonder why, I said sarcastically, then reached for my robe and sandals. Thanks for bringing these. No problem. I'll see you at Sandy's, he said. Dressed? I'm not showing my face, I wailed. That's silly. Everyone understands. Something like that happens around here regularly. Not to me, I cried. He laughed as I closed the door. When Mommy and Richard came home, I took Mommy aside and told her what happened. Oh, I haven't been down to the pool ever, she said. Those suits are for modeling jobs. You don't want to get too much sun when you're my age. It brings out the wrinkles, she explained. It was very embarrassing, I said. She just laughed. I bet it made you instantly popular with the young men around here, she said, with a tiny tinge of jealousy in her voice. I'd rather not be that popular. Of course you would. The more men looking at you, the more important you are, she told me. Take your time giving any one of them your individual attention. You've got years and years to go before you do what I did and chain yourself to one man. Is that what it was like for you, Mommy? You felt trapped all the time? Yes, she confessed easily. And please remember, don't call me Mommy, she whispered. Richard came out of the kitchen. You brought quite a bit, he said. There's actually some real food in this house for once. Well, we don't have to worry about it tonight. We're all going to Sandy's party, Mommy reminded him. I can't go, sis. Not after what happened this afternoon. Nonsense, Melanie. What happened this afternoon? Richard asked. Mommy told him and he laughed. Then he looked at me seriously. I think I got you a job. I described you to this producer. He wants to see you tomorrow after I drop Gina off at the mall. I'll take you to the studio. Oh, Melanie, that's terrific. So fast, too? Now the girls around here will be dying with jealousy. The green-eyed monster? I said, nodding, recalling Mel's words. What? Nothing. What kind of job is it? I asked Richard. What do I demonstrate? Don't be so smart. It happens to be an acting job, he said, an independent movie. I looked at Mommy, who beamed. But I've never acted, I said. So you'll learn, Richard said. He looked around and nodded. She did a good job with the place, didn't she, Gina? Yes, thank you, honey. Maybe this will work out after all, Richard said, smiling like a Cheshire cat. It was a smile that sent chills down my spine. Suddenly I was feeling like a cornered mouse. My little incident at the pool made me a star at Sandy's party. The moment the three of us came through the door, there was a cheer. I was embarrassed by the intention, but thought everyone was very friendly. The party was already in full swing by the time we arrived, since Mommy had taken forever to put on her makeup and decide how she wanted to wear her hair. Besides, she told me, in Hollywood, being on time is a sign of weakness. Always be fashionably late. Mel had helped Sandy with food and bringing her things that were ready-made at the supermarket. They started with recorded music, but Bobby D and his band began to play as more guests arrived. The apartment wasn't much bigger than ours and seemed to me that everyone who lived in the complex was there. It wasn't long before everyone was dancing. Even the people standing and talking were moving to the rhythm of the music as they spoke. If ever fun was infectious, it was infectious here, I thought, unable to keep myself from swinging and moving to the music and the laughter around me. Almost all conversations I heard were about auditions, parts, agents, and producers. What amazed me most was how easily everyone accepted Mommy about their age. In her micro mini and her black tank top and her hair pulled back in a ponytail, she did look more like my sister than my mother. I understood why the lie was so easily accepted. My thoughts were interrupted when Mel asked me to dance with him. As we spun around the room, I noticed Richard had moved off to talk to two pretty women while Mommy danced with someone who called himself Stingo. He had hair as long as mine, and he wore 2 silver earrings. Mommy's laughter was soon heard over the music. Every once in a while she glanced my way and beamed a smile. She looked happy, like someone who had been rejuvenated. Was it possible to really turn back time and be young again? Suddenly Bobby's band stopped playing, and he announced to the crowd that there was a new talent in their midst. A fresh, innocent voice. I had no idea who he was talking about till he produced the fiddle and called out my name. Mommy looked as surprised as I was. No, I said, shaking. I told you I wasn't that good. Well, we'll be the judge of that, Bobby declared. Come on. We're all bitter friends here, he added with a smile. Go ahead, Mel urged. I can't. Just do it or he'll keep bugging you. That's Bobby. Reluctantly, I stepped towards everyone, cheered, and Mommy and Richard stood beside each other watching with interest and surprise. Although Richard looked pleased, a strange look came over Mommy's face. If I'd have known better, I would have thought she was jealous. This is a song an old friend taught me, I began as I took the fiddle. The crowd grew still, but I tried not to think of them and instead thought of Papa George and his pleasure when I played for him. It's an old mountain folk song about a woman whose lover dies in a feud. She mourns him so much that her heart turns into a bird and flies away. Up to join his soul. Someone laughed and someone else said, "Shut up, you idiot." I lifted the bow and began singing softly at the first and then lifting my voice and closing my eyes. When I ended, there was dead silence. That was great, Mel said, just loud enough for everyone to hear. There were murmurs of agreements, and then there was a loud applause and cheers. Looks like you got a real new client, Richard, Bobby shouted across the room. Richard smiled and nodded. Do I know talent when I see it, or don't I? Is that a question? Someone shouted as there was more laughter. Bobby and his band started to play a Wild Happy song again, and the moods returned. That was very sweet, Mommy said, coming up to me. You didn't waste much time getting to know everyone and letting them know how you played the fiddle. I didn't, but I really don't think that kind of music is successful in Hollywood these days, Melanie, so don't get your hopes up. Oh, I didn't expect the fiddle to make me famous. I didn't even want to play it now. I didn't come here for that. She laughed. Oh, maybe you did, she said with a wink. Without another word, she grabbed the arm of a tall, dark man and went off to dance again. As I walked through the room, everyone congratulated me on my performance, and Sandy gave me a big hug. You're great, she declared. You're going to make it. Make it? Make what? Success, silly, she said before rushing off to dance. Mel stepped up beside me. You're a hit. No one has moved into this complex and won everyone's attention so quickly, he declared. I'm not looking to do that. What are you looking for then? A job at the supermarket? I can help you get that, he teased. Somehow I think you want more, just like the rest of us. No, I insisted. I looked around at the gathering of young hopefuls, everyone believing something wonderful would happen if they only tried hard enough. They came from all over, the East, the Midwest, Northern California, each of them waiting to get their big break. It wasn't wrong to have ambition, but there was a line, a difference between ambition and false dreams, dreams that could only bring pain and disappointment. I had no idea where the line was or who was crossing it, but I wasn't going to be the one to do so, I vowed. Yet I could see how easily someone could be tempted to believe in fairy tales. I couldn't deny the compliments and encouragements had me daydreaming about being a famous musician. Carrie's words came thundering through my memory. It's more glamorous than living in an old house and harvesting cranberries. I don't blame you. I'm tired, I told Mel, as my thoughts came back down to earth. I have a big day. I flashed a smile at him and grabbed Mommy's arm as soon as she danced near me. I'm going back to our place. I'm tired, sis. Whatever, she said, barely hearing me. She was too involved in her dancing. Hey, it's so early, Mel said, as I headed for the door. Jet lag, I guess, I replied shortly. You're gonna miss a good time. Things haven't even begun yet, he coaxed, still holding onto my hand. I pulled it away gently. There'll be other good times, I said, thanks. His disappointment was written across his face. Yeah, you're welcome anytime, he said, turning away. I slipped out of the party and quickly went across the hall to our apartment. Once the door closed behind me, I let out a long-held breath. My face was flushed. The breeze coming in through the window was too warm to bring myself any relief, so I went out onto the patio and sat there looking over at the tops of the buildings and the brilliantly shining constellations. I wondered if Carrie 1,000 miles away was looking at the same stars. I missed seeing the way that they sparkled over the ocean, making wishes on shooting stars as I walked along the beach. Was the ocean calm tonight? Were the waves gently lapping at the shore? As much as I wanted to hear Carrie's voice, I knew it was too late to call him. Everybody was probably asleep anyway, I thought. I heard a car alarm go off in the street in front of the complex. It sounded like a wounded animal, an injured stray dog, with its high-pitched scream lasting a good 2 minutes before it stopped. Then it was relatively quiet again. My eyelids drooped. I got up and got ready for bed. The moment my head hit the pillow, I was asleep. But a few hours later, I was woken by the sound of Mommy and Richard's laughter. They came bursting into the apartment, both sounding drunk, not caring how much noise they made. Mommy shouted, "Where's my talented little sister?" She laughed and came in my doorway. "The hit of the party. How'd you like that, Richard?" "I love it," he called to her, and she laughed again. I pretended to be dead asleep, but I opened my eyes and saw her wavering in the doorway. "Everyone thinks that was very cool. Melanie, being the hit and walking out of the party. Very cool. Looks like I taught you more than I thought," she said. "But just don't forget who's the teacher. Come on to bed, Gina." "I'm coming." She stood in the doorway glaring at me. I didn't move. "Sleep tight, sis," she said. Then she laughed and wiped her forehead and stumbled away. I heard something fall on the floor with a crash, and I heard her curse. "Get to bed before you destroy the place and ruin all the good work your sister's done," Richard teased. Mommy cursed again, then she went into her bedroom and slammed the door. The whole apartment shook. I heard their muffled voices through the walls. Mommy was raising hers and Richard yelling something. After that, I heard Mommy's sobs and wails. Finally, it grew quiet. She can't be happy here, I thought. She just can't. Tomorrow I'll start talking to her about going back. I'll remind her about my inheritance and how we'll have money and she can do whatever she wants if she just stopped trying to be someone she isn't. It was like I was in a land of ghosts, everyone trying to be another person and their true selves floating around them, waiting to return to their lost bodies. Ironically, that's what Mommy had to do, return to her body, to her name, to her identity she had buried in the grave back in Providence Town. Would she ever want to be Haley Logan again? I hope so, because Haley Logan was my mother.